Filmed partly in the brutalist Tate Modern building and in a natural outdoor location, the piece's choreographer and performer, Elisabeth Mulenga, explores juxtaposition throughout this film. As well as within the locations, this juxtaposition is reflected in her styling. Elisabeth has bare feet and wears a black bandeau top and briefs under a black hoop skirt frame. In sun shots, Elisabeth just wears the top and briefs. Her dark brown afro hair hangs in shoulder-length twists, with the front section pinned back. Elisabeth describes the hoop skirt frame as a cage-like structure used to make someone appear regal and voluptuous, but without the layer above, it is vulnerable, exposing, yet bold and confronting. Using a mixture of contemporary dance and improvisation, Elisabeth plays with fast staccato movements, control and stillness, all to a soundtrack of church bells and a cello. Elisabeth shares, "My mum is playing the cello, which was important to me as I like my work to feel rooted in where I've come from, connected to my heritage." Whether dancing in the centre of a vast concrete space surrounded by slanted concrete pillars, twirling at the bottom of a circular concrete stairwell, or standing in a lake covered with lily pads, Elisabeth is always in the centre of the image, defiantly commanding the space as she stares down the lens of the camera. Elisabeth describes the film as having a dreamlike quality, where everything is slightly disjointed and surreal and centres around processing emotions and experiences. Elisabeth. Standing in the middle of a concrete room, Elisabeth's fingertips rest gently on her chest, elbows to the side as she pulses her torso. A bird's-eye view of her hoop skirt moving round her body as she spins. Now standing in a lake, she stares at us. In the concrete room with legs squeezed together, she bounces on the spot. Her movement becomes more expansive, twisting her torso as she sweeps her arms. She strokes her face, reaching towards her ear, then slowly begins to smile. With torso contracted, she claws frenetically at the air, then pulses, her fists raised over her head. Lying on a tree trunk, she stares dispassionately at us. In the concrete room, a wry smile flickers across her lips, her eyes focus to one side as she bends forwards, undulating her torso whilst rolling her arms backwards. The hoop of her skirt skims the floor as she twists from side to side. In the lake, she leans forwards, her body rigid. In the concrete room, she forcefully jerks her torso. As her movements become more vigorous, the image blurs. Her arms slash the air as she lurches from side to side. Gazing ahead, she slowly raises her arms in the air, then drops them to one side whilst rolling her head in the opposite direction. Elisabeth swipes her arms around her body, then hangs over her legs, her arms swinging. Lost in thought, she strokes her face. With one arm reaching up and one leg crossed in front of the other, she pulses gently on the spot, sinking lower to the floor. Lying on the knotted tree trunk, Elisabeth stares at us resolutely. As a wry smile starts to flicker across her lips, the screen snaps to black. Elisabeth, directed by Camilla Greenwell. Sadler's Wells Young Associates Programme. Choreographed and performed by Elisabeth Mulenga. Commissioned by Sadler's Wells. Sadler's Wells Digital Stage.